All right, so today we're getting a little more in depth in terms of solving square root equations. So we still have to move stuff around to get the square root part by itself on one side of the equal sign. Um, Remember, if the radical is alone and equal to a negative, there is no solution. We need to step two, square both sides entirely, and then get the variable by itself, and we finally have to check our answer. And you can see I have a few little helpers here. If you end up with a quadratic equation, you need to make sure that you check on your solutions, plug them into the original equation, not your new equation. And if you have two radicals and no other values, then move one to the other side by squaring, and squaring or cubing will eliminate both of those. So let's look at example one. Right now we don't have to move anything around, so we're just going to square both sides. And so the left-hand side is going to be negative 14x plus 2. The right-hand side is x minus 3 squared, which becomes x squared minus 6x plus 9. So make sure you're foiling it out the proper way. We need to bring the negative 14x and the 2 over to the other side. So that leaves us with x squared plus 8x plus 7. And then we can just factor. So 0 equals x plus 7 times x plus 1. And so we get x equals negative 7 and x equals negative 1. Now we need to check our answers. So we plug them back in. And really what you can do is, when I plug in negative 7, you can see I have negative 14 times negative 7 plus 2 equals negative 7 minus 3. Negative 7 minus 3 is a negative. So my square root cannot equal something negative. So that's not a possible answer. When I try negative 1, square root of negative 14 times negative 1 plus 2, can that equal negative 1 minus 3? No, because it's still, this is a negative as well. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. So I have no solution for number 1. Number 2, we do the same thing we did in number 1. We square both sides. So we have 44 minus 2x equals x squared minus 20x plus 100. Bring everything over. 0 equals x squared minus 18x plus 56. When I factor that, 14 and 4 are my two numbers. It's going to be x minus 14 times x minus 4. So I get x equals 14 and x equals 4. When I check my answers, square root of 44 minus 2 times 14, does that equal 14 minus 10? So that's 2 times 14 is 28, so we have square root of 16 equals 4. So that checks out. X can be 14. Can it be 4 though? Let's see. So square root of 44 minus 2 times 4. Can that equal 4 minus 10? 4 minus 10 is a negative number, so that doesn't work. So our only possible solution is x equals 14. Hopefully you're starting to see kind of the pattern. All right, number 3, we have cube roots. We haven't done cube roots yet, you say. No big deal. We have 2 of them, so we want to get one on one side and one on the other. So we can just move this over to the other side by adding it. So now that they're both on each side, we can cube both sides. When you cube a cube root, it goes away. So we end up with 12x minus 5 equals 8x plus 15. So I bring the x's to the left-hand side, numbers to the right, I end up with x equal to 5. When I check my answer, when I plug in 5. So I have 12 times 5 minus 5 minus the cube root of 8 times 5 plus 15 set equal to 0. So I end up with the cube root of 55 minus the cube root of 55, which does equal 0. So x equals 5 is a good solution. Let's look at number 4. Continuing on. So here we have to actually move the 2 over. So we have to do one extra step. Square root of x plus 10 equals x minus 2. And now I can square both sides. So I get x plus 10 equal to x squared minus 4x plus 4. Bring the x plus 10 over, so I have 0 equals x squared minus 5x minus 6. 0 equals x minus 6 times x plus 1. So I end up with 6 and negative 1 as my possible solutions. When I plug those back in, let's see what happens with 6. 2 plus the square root of 10 plus 16, does that equal 6? 2 plus square root of 16 equals 6. 2 plus 4 equals 6. So 6 works. And let's see if negative 1 works. When we plug in negative 1, 2 plus negative 1 plus 10, does that equal negative 1? The square root of 9 equals negative 3, which is not true. So we only have one solution. We move on to 5. It's a cube root again. It's okay. I'm going to move the 7 over. Cube root of x plus 2 equals negative 2. Now, it's okay for a cube root to equal something negative. That is possible. So we're going to cube both sides. And so I'm going to get x plus 2. And when I cube negative 2, that's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. That gives me negative 8. X equals negative 10. So we double check our answer. Cube root of negative 10 plus 2 plus 7 equals 5. Well, the cube root of negative 8 is negative 2. So negative 2 plus 7 equals 5. So the one answer does check out. And then our last one is similar to our first one. First two, actually. We can just square both sides. So we have 15x plus 10 equals, and when I square 2x plus 3, I get 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. And I did that by using the FOIL method. So make sure you're using the FOIL method. And now I'm going to combine everything. 0 equals 4x squared minus 3x minus 1. And I just factor these out. 4x plus 1 times x minus 1. So I end up with x equal to negative 1/4 and x equal to 1. If I plug those in, negative 1/4 into the original equation, that's 15 over 4, negative 15 over 4 plus 10. Does that equal 2, negative 2 over 4 plus 3? So negative 15 over 4 plus 10, that's equal to the square root of 25 over 4. And this is equal to 1/2 plus 3 is 5 over 2. So if you take the square root of the top and the square root of the bottom, it checks out. So x can be negative 1/4. Can it also be 1? Let's see. We plug in 15 times 1 plus 10. Does that equal 2 times 1 plus 3? Well, on the right-hand side, we get 5. On the left-hand side, we get square root of 25. So, in this case, both answers work. And I'll leave it there for a little bit so you guys can double check your answers, write them down, make sure, obviously this is a little more difficult than our first day, but it's still following the same basic principles. So hopefully this helps, and be sure to follow my videos on YouTube. Thank you.